Early records mention Richard Harry of Yorkshire in a 14th century charter. Amongst early immigrants from England to America was Thomas Harris, who came to Virginia in 1611. The motto of the Harris crest is translated to mean everywhere to remember.
June, Ed, and Ann Harris wish to pass on their ancestral history to the family. June, Ed, and Ann were raised in Toronto, Ontario, and were the children of Edgar Alexander Harris and Jennie Marie Manser. The Harrises lived in Etobicoke. They settled here. They were market gardeners. Edward Alexander Harris was the adopted son of Edward Alfred and Miss Spriggs. Edgar was the son of Edward's sister, and I believe her name is Mary. They are buried in Parklawn Cemetery. If anybody's interested, they can find out for sure there. Jennie Marie Manser was raised in Port Elgin. She was the only daughter of Alfred Manser and Margaret Elizabeth Robertson. Um, Liz Robertson was raised in Southampton. She moved to Port Elgin with her mother, whom she promised to look after until her death. Alfred Manser, I believe, was born around London Waterloo area. This marriage here was his second marriage. He was a son of James Manser and Jane Manser. That's about all I can tell of the Manser side of the family. Liz Robertson was one of the daughters of W.J. Robertson and Mary McVitie. Now, this family here with their children lived in Southampton, Port Elgin, Tara, and a lot of the smaller towns around the northern end of Lake Huron. They were farmers. This is our great grandfather Robertson and our great grandmother Robertson. Now, I don't know whether they immigrated to Ontario or whether this is the grandfather that stayed in Scotland. If it was the grandfather who stayed in Scotland, he was a school teacher and taught in Edinburgh. When he retired, he moved to Ecclefechan and subsequently was buried in the cemetery there. I believe his wife, when she died, was buried in Edinburgh. I don't believe that she went with him on his retirement. I feel she was gone before then. This is our great grandmother and our great grandfather. Yes, they are the Robertsons. That's about all I can tell you about them. Shut it off for me. This is our great grandmother, Mary McVitie Robertson. She married W.J. Robertson and was the mother that lived with Margaret Elizabeth Manser. She died in the early 1900s, and she lived with our grandmother until her death. My grandmother, Margaret Elizabeth Robertson, was one of 6 children. I'm going to show you Ed's aunts and my great aunts and uncles. This picture here is our great aunt Sadie. She lived in Rochester, New York, was a companion to very rich people, and never married. She died, I believe, around 1960. This is my grandmother's sister, Belle. She lived in Toronto on Dufferin Street, and she was housekeeper to my grandfather, Harris. It was through her that my mom and dad met and were finally married. This is our great aunt Jen. She also lived in Rochester. She worked as a nurse in a mental hospital in Rochester. Aunt Sadie, Aunt Jen, and Uncle Jim went to the States, and Aunt Belle and Grandma Margaret Elizabeth Robertson stayed here in Canada. This is our grandmother, Margaret Elizabeth Robertson. She was the baby of the family. And she was a sweetheart. This is the oldest brother of our grandmother. He is our great uncle Jim. He lived in Rochester, New York. He was head of a correctional institute for boys in Rochester. He and his family lived in a house on... I believe this is George Robertson, another brother of my grandmother's. He used to work at Nielsen's in Toronto. He married a woman called Annie Manser, who everybody in the family hated. After he married Annie, the rest of the family didn't have much to do with him. And I've only got the barest information on this man. The parents of the 6 children you just saw, our great aunts and uncles, are buried in Southampton, I believe, and this is their tombstone. This is a very old photograph album. It was prized by families and sat on a nice little table. It has a drawer in it for photos, and this is what it sort of looks like on the inside. Now this here must be 150 years old, easy. There are numerous places to put pictures. In the back of that photo album, there are small cutouts for tin types. This is what this photo is on. It's on comes out on a piece of tin. It was the very first photographs, very first photography that ever was. We don't know who the people are in the pictures because they are over 200 years old, I swear.
I don't
Oh,
think they're
they-
quite that old.
They were before 1890. Now, talk about antiques. Get a load of this carriage and the fur rug. Isn't it beautiful? To have one today would really be something. This here is a picture of the Manser family. James Manser, the father, was born in 1850, and Alfred Manser, who is Ed's, June's and Ann's grandfather, was born 1842. I'm afraid I can't say who the rest of them are. Some is George, some is James, some is Hannah. I guess that's about it. This is Alfred Manser's family Bible. It is about 150 years old. This is Alfred Manser, Holy Bible in the year of our Lord, 1864. As you can see, there is a record of deaths on the right-hand side and family portraits on the left-hand side. I really don't know who the people are. I'm sorry. This is a Christmas card from the Methodist Church. It's dated 1886. The church used to be across the street where our mother, Marie Harris, lived as a girl, and up in Port Elgin. This is where our mother grew up in Port Elgin. It was the home of our grandmother and our great-grandmother. Notice the milk wagon out in front. That's how milk was delivered way back when. You didn't go to the store and get it in a jug. This is our mother's school class. There's our mother as a young girl. This is our mother in a very modern bathing suit and hat. Only risque girls wore them in those days. This is our Grandpa Harris. He lived on Brock Avenue in the city of Toronto. He was employed by Massey Ferguson, also in Toronto, and this picture was taken on Lake Ontario waterfront. So really, this is our father as a young boy. He's there with his cousin Muriel, and this is his adoptive mother. This is our father as a young boy on speed skates. He used to play hockey and enter speed skating races. He won a few medals for the speed skating. This is our father in his uniform for the First World War. He joined up and was given an early discharge because he was underage. This is a display of gymnastics. The picture was taken at Parkdale Collegiate, and there is our father on the very top. This is another picture that was taken, I believe, at Parkdale Collegiate. There is our father there. It must have been some kind of a skit. This is our father in his baseball uniform. He used to play for McCormick Playgrounds in Toronto. This is our father again with his baseball team. Quite a scruffy looking bunch. This here man here, his name is Jack Fleming, and he was for years a friend of our father's. This is a playground team. This is our mother's and father's wedding day. Well, you can see that's Mom and Dad, our mother and father. This is our grandmother. That's Mr. and Mrs. Reeves. That's Charles Manser. I believe that is the minister. There's Jack Fleming, Mr. Harris, and Kathleen Ritchie. This is a portrait of our mother and father. I don't know when it was taken, but I would say shortly after their wedding. This is a picture of our mother. I believe she was pregnant, possibly with me. That's Aunt Belle and Aunt Sadie with her. How do you like that car? Neat. This is a picture of my mother and me, June, taken in our backyard in Toronto. I must be maybe 6 months old there. This is a picture of Ed, taken in the backyard. I think he must have been a little bit older than I was. I would say he was 9, 10 months old there. This is Anne as a young person. I'd say she was a year old, maybe a bit more, because she's standing and she's in the crib in the backyard. Well, there's the 3 Harris children again. Ed, Anne, and June. And they're with their grandmother, Margaret Elizabeth Manser. This picture here is taken in 1946-47 at the Toronto exhibition. This is where the soldiers, when they came back from overseas, were given appointments to be discharged from the services. It was where, if they wanted to go to school, the applications were filled out under the Veterans Act. And our mother, who is here, was one of the civilians who helped do this type of work. This picture was taken about 3 years before our mother died.
And show. Okay.
No. Here she is. Okay, this is Anne and Ed in their early teenage life. This picture was taken up in Port Elgin, where we always went for our summer vacations. They had a beautiful beach then. The town was small, and we always had fun. Here we are at Port Elgin again on a big rock. There is Anne, June, and Ed. This chap here was a friend of the family's. Oh, here, this is Ed, June, and Anne. It looks like it's Easter Sunday. We're all dressed up. Maybe we've just come back from church. It looks like we got our new duds on.